Hi, Sandy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the A.D.K. Rock and Metal channel. And today we're doing more Broken Down and Pulled Apart, the series where we take a song from a band and we break it into 1 minute sections. We take it away, we listen to it, we make our own notes, and we come back to you at 1 minute blocks and talk about each of those sections and take you through the journey that we go on. Today's band is a band called The Halo Effect, formed in 2019. And we're looking at Feel What I Believe. Came out in 2022 off of their debut album. The band is made up of former members of In Flames, and was trying to get back to that kind of classic In Flames sound, because In Flames by this point had moved so far away from their early origins that this band came out. And what makes me laugh about this is they said they wanted to return to their 90s Gothenburg sound, but this still sounds like 2010 In Flames to me when I listen to this. I know the 90s Gothenburg sound from In Flames, and it doesn't sound like the Halo Effect at all. There's elements maybe, and I'm kind of glad, because I actually remember the early sort of 90s stuff when I reviewed it, and it's just so many time signature changes, and it's a little bit too wacky and a bit off the wall, the first sort of couple of albums. But yeah, we've got 4 1 minute sections for us to go through today. We have recently covered In Flames on the channel, so it'd be good to kind of talk about how this one and also the comparisons. But let's give you the first minute for you at home before we break it down. Okay, so that's first a minute for you at home. For me, first thoughts on this one, we've got that classic dual guitar metal. Doesn't take long to get into the first verse, which I actually really appreciate that. I don't like something that long. The amount of times we do a video and it's like 1 minute and 20 seconds, and I'm like, you haven't even got into the verse yet. Can we cut these intros down? They don't need to be epically long intros. I've lost interest already. This was great. Got into that first verse. Real nice guttural vocals from the guy, but he's nice and warm as well. It's not so raspy, it's not too harsh. And then it goes, there's a great groove that goes into a riff that's almost new metal. In that first minute, there's a riff that comes out, and I'm like, I know you're talking about Gothenburg, but this is new metal. I don't class that as not early or 90s Gothenburg melodic death metal. This is a new metal riff with more guttural vocals over top. But yeah, enjoyed the first minute so far. Andy?
I've heard of the band. I didn't know they were formed from former members of In Flames, which is, again, a band I have not got into, to be honest. But yeah, I really like the opening minute or so. Melodic death metal, nice, crisp production. It had that sort of percussive staccato, palm muted riffs, which I really like as well. And the guys' vocals are really good. One thing I will say about the video, I'll sort of elaborate further, but it's a really good setting and really well shot. But what is a registration zone? Anyone know? Opening shot, warning, registration zone. Did you pick up on that?
No, probably something to do. It's probably something to do with asylum.
Yeah.
To where you have to register when you get into there, and you have to stay in that zone until you've registered and moved on to the next one. Maybe I didn't really pick that one up, but I would assume.
Called? Anything in relation to that? I can't remember what the song's called.
Feel What I Believe it's called.
Okay. Yeah, I'll say good opening minute. I really like the look of the video, but I'll elaborate on that further.
Okay, Kirk.
Iron Maiden is a death metal band. I've only heard that about 1,000 times before. Is there a subgenre of metal that's as easy to meme as it is to cover it? I mean, come on. You can imagine the two guitar players, In Flames legends that they are, getting in the rehearsal room. Right, are you ready to harmonize? And then coming up with a riff in 20 seconds. There you go. There's the intro. The drummer coming in. Right, is it fast enough for me to just do double timing beats? Yeah, it is. Fantastic. Mikhail Steiner, great voice. You know, he is the star here, the Dark Tranquility vocalist who was in Flames in the 90s. This song, yeah, it's got a good energy to it, hasn't it? But it's just so, I've just heard it so many times, even to the point, Dave, where I actually would have preferred like a wacky intro with many twists and turns. Like, for example, Andy, I was listening to Incarnated Solvent Abuse, that song by Carcass today, and that has a 40-second intro. It's just like monumental riff after riff with different drum patterns. So I would have preferred that here. But I can see why you wouldn't release that as a single. I did review this album for Scream Blast Repeat in 2022. What score do you think I gave it?
6.
5 out of 10.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Not fake. So I think because I don't ever listen to this, I don't own anything. I haven't downloaded on MP3 format. I don't own any CDs of any melodic death stuff. So, and I don't even have really, if you were to go back to like the classic metal of bands like Judas Priest, I don't own a Judas Priest album. I don't have any dual guitar harmonies. I've listened to them and I don't like them. I think Rob Halford's vocals are awful. I just can't get on with them. It's just too high. He just sings like a big girl. Sorry. It's just like, what's wrong with you, mate? Calm down.
Legend. Move on.
I'm just kidding. I do actually like some of his stuff, but it's always more fun to antagonize people. But I still don't own any albums by them. But yeah, I think that's why when something like a classic dual guitar part comes in, it's a bit refreshing from standard stuff that I listen to. But yeah, I think if I listen to it all the time, it'd be a bit cliche, like metalcore stuff that we talked about. But let's play the next minute. This is minute 1 to minute 2 for you at home. Okay, so we're into the chorus at this point. I mean, it's generic. It's pretty much just generic metal. I wouldn't even call it like melodic death metal at this point. It almost felt like this could have been a metalcore chorus at one point. It has way too much room to move around with. I was expecting, like, when they were talking about getting back to early Gothenburg sound, I thought this would be a much tighter chorus, but there's just way too much space in this chorus for it. And it just felt... yeah, just a little bit generic, a bit uninspiring for that particular song. I kind of lost interest over the chorus at that point. I thought the verse was great, and then the chorus just lost all my appeal for that particular track. But Andy?
I've just got that on the music front. It's more of that sort of percussive riffs that I like. I must be looking at the wrong time because I've got the chorus starting in the next minute. But going back to the video, like I said, it's a really good setting. It's the old abandoned warehouse, but it's really well shot. You know, really well lit, and it looks really interesting. You know, the sunlight coming through the windows, the graffiti. It's you know, it's pretty standard stuff, but they've done it. They've executed that particular storyboard really well. You know, that we've seen all sorts of, you know, like that, and this is one of the best in the way that it looks anyway. And the warning registration zone is actually the closing shot rather than the opening, so I apologise about that.
Oh, okay.
Maybe why you didn't see it. Maybe you switched off by that point. I'm misinterpreting my notes. Yeah, it finishes with that, but what that's got to do with anything, I don't know.
Kirk?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Mikhail Steiner's vocal performance, but the music behind him is just too predictable. Although I did enjoy, I think you picked up on it before, Andy, that really sharp almost like staccato guitar riffing while the drums are going full throttle. That was quite exciting, but you just know that the chorus is coming, and it's generic, to use that term, Dave. I think that probably won't be the last time we use it.
No.
When we're dissecting this song. A whole album of this is just tedious, which is ironic considering that this music is all about high levels of energy and generating adrenaline. And when you know everything's going to be like that, it just loses its effect, unfortunately.
Well, let's play the next minute for you. So this is minute 2 to minute 3 for you at home. Okay, so this was the second verse, and of course the chorus, which I mean, they are memorable. They're hooky, which is obviously important when you're writing songs. You want something that people can walk away and remember. And I keep coming back to this reference, which is where they keep saying they want to sound like old Gothenburg, but they sound like Modern In Flames. It just sounds like a band that has looked at In Flames at the time and gone, yeah, we can do that. But actually, you're not doing it quite as well, but you've just got a different vocalist doing it. They're not quite as good as what Modern In Flames were doing of that style, in my opinion, personally. And it gets back to that whole thought of this should have been a massive band because everyone that was into the melodic death metal scene, loved that classic 90s Gothenburg sound. So when these guys announced they were getting together to do this thing called the Halo Effect, and they're going back and they're bringing back that 90s sound that's been lost because all these bands have evolved, people were like, fucking hell. And if they had delivered that, this album should have been the big album. That should have been the big thing that everyone would talk about, and they should have been out there and absolutely nailing it. And literally the album came out and it was like, it just disappeared off because everyone went, you're just another modern Gothenburg band then, basically. You haven't really done what you said you were going to do, which is go back to the 90s sound. You've just gone and done exactly the current sound again and just tried to put a bit of that attitude towards it. So, yeah, it's a frustrating one for it because I've already got In Flames. I don't need In Flames Part 2, in all honesty. Andy?
And in your opinion, In Flames Part 2, not as good as the original?
I mean, the problem is I've listened to the In Flames earlier, stuff like Clayman, Jester's Race, Colony. Absolutely phenomenal albums from the early In Flames melodic death metal era. Then, of course, you get into the later stuff, which is a lot more modern metal. And that's good because you've got this band that delivers both elements of it and they can play all those different things live. These guys have come out and they've taken elements of all the stuff that's in Flames from those days. But what they haven't done is gone back and given me Jester's Race Part 2, which if they had, would have probably blown them straight up. If they'd done Jester's Race in a modern production sound, but did it with that vibe, I think they would have, this would have been a better album. And they'd have had more people following them and kept really pushing them. Because I don't think they've had that kind of push. I mean, they still go out and they still headline big events and stuff, but I think they could have been bigger.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, not a follower of In Flames or this band or melodic death metal as a whole genre. So I'm probably enjoying this track and the chorus more. I'll put memorable chorus as well. So I'm enjoying this probably more than you two because it's not something that I've been oversaturated with or something I'm familiar with where somebody's tried to sort of move on from the band that they're originally in. I mean, Kirk, you've often said how modern death metal absolutely bores you to tears because it's so so samey, so familiar, so generic as well. But this is kind of fresh to me as a sort of style of music, as a band, as a song. It's kind of new, so that's probably why I've taken more from it than either of you two. But it's I don't know. Again, it's one of those where I found it interesting, but not enough for me to sort of then jump into it and follow the style of music or check out this band any further. I mean, I keep harking back to the video as being one of the the best examples of this sort of style of video. It's just performance in a warehouse, but it's done really, really well. Nothing really more to add to the track at this stage.
Kirk?
At least melodic death metal did have an influence beyond Sweden. I mean, Finland, it seems to be the default genre in Sweden in any form of music because they love metal so much. Sorry, in Finland, because they love metal so much. But if you look at it as well, this, when we were talking about what made metalcore such an uninspiring, safe genre, ironically, it was when bands like As I Lay Dying started incorporating At the Gates into their sound. They did it well. And then you had hundreds of other bands instantly come along who didn't know At the Gates and thought they were copying As I Lay Dying. And then this blueprint's just never gone away. The only thing that changed over the last 10 years where they started using gent riffs, as breakdowns. It's just, I just don't find it exciting yet. I should do because of the high tempo, the great musicianship. I like Iron Maiden. When you put all these elements together, I can't explain why it leaves me so unattached to this music. It just doesn't really do anything for me. And when I know I'm going to get 12 songs like this, to most people who like metal, you'd be like, oh, this is brilliant. No fillers, all bangers. This genre of music, within 4 songs, you actually do need some experimentation just to keep you on board. And unfortunately, this doesn't change my opinion.
I think for me, when I'll talk about it in the last bit, I had a thought about it, but we'll play the last minute for those of you at home. I'll come to my final thought in a sec, but I mean, this section does have a really good, there's a great groove riff in there, which I really liked. It goes really strong dynamics back into the chorus. But you know what? It made me think when I was listening to this, it had more in line with bands like Modern Arch Enemy than early Gothenburg. It even reminded me, there's a bit with the vocal delivery. It reminded me of the local band Jackal's Backbone. It did with one of the last vocal lines he does. I was like, oh, that does sound like Becca in this point when she has some of her vocals. For me, in this song, verses were the thing that stood out for me. The verses were really strong. The choruses were what took it away each and every time. I had a point. I've forgotten what my point is now. Probably wasn't that important. Throw it over to Andy.
Nothing much more to add other than there are some elements I could take away from this that I liked. The vocals were good. Production overall was really good. The sort of verse riffs were good, and memorable choruses. So I'd certainly wouldn't shy away from them coming up on the channel again, like In Flames as well. We've covered recently, but it's not done enough for me to sort of really check them out any further. Although it's a good way of, it's a pleasant video to cover.
Yeah,
but not good enough for really grab me and get me into this particular genre.
I mean, I've got the thing. I remember what I was going to write here, and it actually reminds me of this song and the one before. The thing I don't get about these songs, or what why I don't connect is they don't feel like there's a soul to them. They don't feel there's an emotional connection to them. They feel like they've been got in a studio. Here, I got an idea for a riff. Yeah, that's a cool riff. Okay, well, I've got some ideas for some lyrics. We'll write it, and then you just throw the song out there. And there's probably nothing wrong technically with the song, but it doesn't feel like there was a human heartbeat or a brain that went behind it to actually tell a story or to write about something they cared about.
Bit AI then.
Huh?
Is this the sort of thing AI might produce?
This could be a great example of what
It's
an
very
AI
easy
track
to do
would,
it.
because that's why but some of it can sometimes be about whether you as a listener can connect to the track. We talked about that with Sleep Token historically, where we said that was music for the broken, and because we couldn't understand why they were getting hyped up, and people are going, "I'm going to worship in the altar," and I'm like, "What are you on about? It's a band." Someone put in a Sleep Token group that they had travelled halfway around the world to watch Sleep Token play at Wembley. I'm like, "Are you freaking insane? Just wait for them to come to your country or something. It's just a concert." And they're like, it's such a spiritual experience. I'm like, it's just some guys playing music. Are you fucking nuts?
Yeah, you can't tell them how they should feel though.
No, but I didn't get it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So, but some people can be in such an emotional place that's where it thinks, and that's where I'm going here. So, because I know there will be some people that will listen to that song and it will have an emotional connection for them, and they will feel completely different to how I feel about it. But I listened to it and I felt nothing emotional. And so I took it on pure technical. And I listened to it and went, there's nothing wrong about it. It's just not that inspiring. There's nothing there that's connecting with me. So, and that's why I use that terminology. The song for me lacked any soul. And because there's no soul to it, I don't think I could get into it. But that's where my head's kind of gone with this one. But Kirk, your final thoughts?
Yeah, I actually agree with you. It's fangless, the song, isn't it? The musicians, all legends, all veterans, they could coach other bands how to write this type of music, and that's what it feels like. They've gone in. There'll be some pre-production, obviously, and rehearsal before they go in to record the album, but I'm assuming it didn't take them too long to come up with these songs. And it's kind of like turning up for a rugby match, getting in the scrum, and you're not really up for it, but you can hide it from your other teammates. And they think, oh, yeah, he's pulling his weight. He's getting stuck in. And in their head, they're just like thinking about going on for the Sunday roast. So, yeah, it just doesn't, there's nothing dangerous. There's nothing edgy about this music. Well executed, though, and great musicianship.
Okay, well, let us know what you think about the Halo effect and Feel What I Believe. I mean, for you fans of the Halo effect, do you feel that they did capture their early 90s Gothenburg sound, or what do you feel? Do you feel they're another version of Modern in Flames? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the video sometime very soon. Take care.